Here we go.
Well, all right.
We're getting started.
It's very important.
So good to see you, Dave.
So good.
So good.
No, man, I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, y'all, this is my first episode under a new name.
Oh,
I got a new name, Dave.
got a new name.
I got a new name.
New name, people.
For 5 years, almost 5 years, I was surviving sibling loss, the Forgotten Mourners podcast. That was me. I was married to it.
I understand.
However, comma, period, exclamation point. You have taught me not to be so emotional.
Listen, on a podcast about sibling loss, I taught you how to not be emotional.
Right?
This is not going well.
It's not going well. Okay, so two different things here. Okay, and we'll get to this. Dave is my coach.
Yes.
And he is here, and he is my co-sibling today. Okay, co-sibling. I'm no longer saying I have a guest with me. You're either a co-sibling or you're a co-griever. So I am changing the language.
I love it.
Yes, there is no other podcast that will say I have a co-sibling in the podcast with me.
Did we trademark that yet? Okay, we'll call my attorney.
See, okay. So this is the segue to how I met Dave. This is the segue. All right. So I think we were bored in the house board.
Bored in the house.
During COVID.
Oh, yes.
At the beginning of COVID. And somehow Dave's video came across my algorithm.
Sorry.
I have no clue to this day how that happened.
To this day
how that happened. And I was like, who is this dude hollering at everybody?
I haven't even it's such a misconception. Listen, people, I do not holler. Okay, people, it's deep fakes. It's bots. It's Russian. I don't really talk above a whisper. I'm in my whisper song era.
Okay. So in 2020, you was hollering. So now you're in your whisper song?
I'm in my whisper song era. Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Well, we have turned over a new leaf, but yes. I don't believe that is true. However, I
identify as soft-spoken.
I realized that Dave is just very much passionate about business. And that's what it was. And so it captured my attention, though. You know, I was like, okay, since you're hollering, I'm in here. I'm
here for it.
10 toes. I was in there.
I love it.
So I watched you do a whole interview with Matthew Knowles. And that was a minute ago.
Yeah, that's 300 pounds ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
then I've never met you in person. This is the first time I met you in person. Yeah. So I've seen the weight loss journey. I've had my own. It hasn't been 300-pound loss.
Why do they all say it like that?
It hasn't been 300.
They either do that or they hit me with the Kevin Hart, Don Cheadle. Damn. Like, thanks.
Because it's perfect. It's perfect for where we are right now. I've had my weight loss. I'm looking at you, watching you do what you do, and I'm thinking, oh, he done got his foot on my neck.
Yeah. Footonneckseason.com.
Yeah.
Footonneckseason.com. Oh, listen, you know how you ever watch Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and Daffy Duck, and they go duck season, wabbit season, duck season, wabbit. It's foot on neck season, and it has no stop. Footonneckseason.com.
So you started putting your foot on my neck in 2020.
Yeah.
Unknowingly. I never had a conversation with you before.
No.
Okay. So fast forward.
Yeah.
About 2, 3, maybe years, I watched you on and off. And then at the time, I was working for the police department. I had a full-time job. I was good. I was just doing this podcast and another podcast. And then was not even thinking about being a business person. And then until it was time.
Yes.
But I had always been a surviving sibling. So I had been doing podcasting with the Surviving Sibling Loss for the Forgotten Mourners podcast since 2019.
Wow.
2019, I started out audio only on Spreaker.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I know. I heard, because I follow you, I already know that you know the person that's in charge of Spreaker.
Yeah, I helped co-found the company.
See, this is how serendipitous this is, okay? And I'm talking to Zach over here for the podcast house.
We love Zach.
Yeah, I really do. He's got good energy.
Yeah, Zach goes above and beyond. He'll go into a bathroom to take a picture for you.
Just
That's the guy he wants. And he lets you know, like, Zach, this is what y'all don't know about Zach, right? Zach actually is a flight attendant because he has all the instructions. First of all, in case you were wondering, your seat back lifts up and it also the armrest adjusts in case you were needing any of that. And we have water for you.
Water. And he gave me a little note.
Yeah, it's just, listen, CTA. See, Zach wants a job. I'm about to hire Zach.
Oh.
Yes, indeed. Zach wants a job. He's already on it. He's coaching. I'm always looking for assistant coaches out here. Always looking.
So moving ahead, I've always been a surviving sibling.
Hallelujah.
And then watching Dave do what he do, he shared that he had lost his brother.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Let me go out on a limb and see if Dave wants to join my group on Facebook. And you did.
I did.
You did.
I did.
And I said, okay. So he's accessible. Okay. He's, out there on Facebook and running his own Facebook. Because, a lot of people just don't run their own Facebook.
Yeah. I don't like them people. Here's the thing. There comes a point, like there's certain things I don't do with social media. Other people do that. But when it comes to interaction, I need you to feel me. And I don't take on clients that I can't get my team excited about. Who wants to work and help an asshole?
There you go.
I mean, other than like a colon doctor, who wants to help an asshole? I mean, when the last time you went on a colon walk? But breast cancer walks every 5 minutes. They got one right now in Antioch happening literally in like 10 minutes. Nobody wants to save the asshole. So why would I want somebody to? Why would I want to subject my team to somebody that I can't get excited about?
That's the thing. That's what happened. What happened. You came right on in.
My thumbs be working.
Yeah, get your show too.
Listen,
that's the other part. That's how you got me with that too.
Uh-oh.
So, have a real good job. Mm-hmm. I'm now working for the state and not thinking about being a businesswoman. Although I realized as a child, I always wanted to be. Always. So, last fall, I decided to leave my good government job and go full-time private practice and work with people in grief.
Yes.
And still do my podcast, still all that stuff. And I said, I need a little bit more mentoring. I need a little bit more. Just a little bit. And guess what? Who was already over there on my Facebook hollering at people?
Hello.
The business bully.
Listen.
The business bully. Yeah, in my Surviving Sibling Lost to Forgotten Mourners podcast group, too. He was silent, but he was in there. I know he was in there.
I was in there.
Yeah.
I watch.
Yeah. So I signed up to be a part of the team. I signed up to be a client of yours, and then it was on and popping from there. And then I thought, okay, we had this conversation on the phone, and then you told me that you had all this interaction and you had lived in Nashville and all this stuff. And I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like 6 degrees of separation.
A little bit.
Yeah. So Dave had a friend that worked in the organization that I worked in. I know, the person's kids and all of that. And I said, that's crazy. And you attend the church. It was right down the street from my house.
Listen. Shout out to Bishop Walker.
Yeah, right down the street from my house.
Shout out to Mount Zion. I remember 18,972.
Oh my gosh. Close connection.
Yes.
So I said, okay, so this is what it is. It's what it is. And then I had to really think about getting up the nerve and saying, Dave, would you like to come on the podcast? You didn't even give it a second thought. You was like, okay, just let me know what your dates are.
Yeah.
And we've been working on these dates for a little minute.
But we here.
Yeah.
We're here.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
That's probably the last time anybody's going to quote a Drake record. Kendrick has destroyed that poor man.
Oh, I've been Kendrick for the past couple of weeks. And I was like, I didn't know. I just didn't know you were that fly. I want to be as fly as you in my craft.
Listen, his level of... I like Kendrick. I do think that he's a bit overhyped. I do think, though... This has nothing to do with sibling loss, but my brother would love this.
Yes, mine too.
The thing of it is, and this is what I tell people. I tell my daughter this. My daughter just turned 25. I said, Kendrick don't make hits. He just doesn't. Like, he has not made a hit in 5 years. So what he decided to do was take the 2003 50 Cent playbook and just go after the easiest target he could. Let's find the wackest, least credible rapper I can possibly find who just happens to be everywhere. And then I'm just going to point out everything that's bad about him. And then I'll just make a record about it. And the reason that I say Kendrick's not a hit maker, even though you got Dr. Dre, is you do the concert on Juneteenth and you play They Not Like Us 5 times. Because ain't nobody singing King Kunta. No, do you know the lyrics to King Kunta, Zach?
No, I don't.
I got a bone to pick. I don't want you monkey mouth motherfuckers getting on my throne again.
Oh,
I know it because I actually like his music, but he does not make hits. And that's the thing. So he goes after a hit maker. He makes a whole bunch of noise and everybody gets all happy. But here's the thing that everybody missed. In that concert, the man had on a pair of very light jeans and a red hoodie and started dancing like Drake in the Hotline Bling video.
Yes.
I was like, the subconscious level of your pettiness needs to be awarded. It does, because I'm cerebral like that. Like right now, I'm in an online verbal battle with Isaac Hayes III, who you ever see somebody who means well that just don't get it?
I'm a therapist.
Of course, yeah, that's the whole job. Like you mean well, but maybe shooting yourself in the foot is not exactly the most productive thing to do.
Yeah, I'm a therapist, so yeah.
So somebody put out a think piece about Sexy Red. And they said, I don't like Sexy Red. Sexy Red is trash. Your babies are listening to it. It's going to destroy your self-esteem. And they've been like, you're a therapist. There have been clinical research studies that talk about the effects of music on young, impressionable minds and how it destroys their self-esteem and so on and so forth. And people don't, and having been in the industry, people don't understand that there are industry plants. There are people who get propped up and given ridiculous marketing budgets in order to keep an agenda going. On a surface level, when you look at entertainment as a weapon, you can go all the way back to Caesar. Gladiators, games, all that kind of good stuff to distract people from what the government is doing or to distract people from what the mainstream agenda is. And so Isaac Hayes III's brilliant response was, everybody needs to raise their kids. And I broke down to him what I just said to you, and he said, well, what you don't understand is, well, my mama, because, he talks like he's auditioning for Roots. And he's, well, my mama, this is how I read the thread. Well, my mama and my sister, we were in a 1-bedroom apartment and we was listening to Dre and Snoop, this, that, and that. First of all, number one, your father's Isaac Hayes. Why are you going to try and destroy that man's legacy by acting like you came up so damn poor? And if and you did, what you're implying is that your father wasn't there for you, but you sure enough got your father's name in your mouth now. Number two, we act like music doesn't matter. Even from us, let's take clinical diagnoses off the table. Let's take psychological analysis off the table. Let's just be spiritual for a minute. Before Satan was Satan, before he was Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies, he was Lucifer, the light bearer, the person in charge of music. But of course, music doesn't matter. And then he wonders why nobody wants to go to fan base. Okay, moving on. Anyway, back to sibling stuff. Oh my gosh.
Can we get a little snaps? Just a little snaps
hey,
for
baby,
a little history.
Can I be your slave?
Oh my gosh.
I must admit, girl, you're the shit girl. Okay, never mind. Lorenz Tate is drinking the blood of Cambodian virgins. That man looks younger than me, and he's at least 12 years older than me. And he's a very handsome guy. I'm a grown-ass heterosexual man.
He's just beautiful.
He's a very handsome guy.
He's glowing.
I conceded they're handsome. I gotta keep going into it.
Okay, I'm sorry. You got me there.
Right?
I got hyper focused on it because I could see his face in my imagination, and now I'm off of it.
This show is being brought to you by The Rose, ladies and gentlemen.
It's actually brought to you by Tittle Pennant Grief Counseling and Consulting, LLC, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I will talk to you a little bit more about that at the end. Thank you so much for that,
there you
Dave.
Go. Yeah, I set that up.
Yes, you surely did. And didn't even know you were doing it.
Not at all.
So speaking in the grief space, again, this is not the podcast that you're used to. when it comes to grief.
No.
I'm doing things a bit differently in 2024. And I don't want to be like everybody else because I'm not like everybody else. I am wearing a couple of hats here. I am a surviving sibling, and I'm also a grief therapist. Grief therapy wasn't what I was doing when I started this podcast.
Right.
I was actually running from grief for a very long time because it wore me out.
Yeah.
I do anything else, mental health therapy. I do everything else. But I did not want to do grief specifically until I started my own therapy
Right.
during COVID, which was the right time, even though my brother passed in 1997 from leukemia. He was 18, I was 14. So death really took all of my teens, all of my 20s, and some of my 30s. Yes, it took a long time to be able to process a lot of, it's not as long for a lot of people as far as the intensity of it, but I can tell you it's intense for me because I ran from it and then having other people's grief. So trying to attend to other people's grief and not my own.
Right.
So that's what made it a bit heavier for me, and that's the reason why I started the podcast.
Right.
I started it in my kitchen. I was eating something, and I was like, it's just me and this phone I'm talking into on Spreaker. And if somebody listens, they do. If they don't, they don't. I'm just expressing myself because I never was able to, or I didn't have the words to. So then I started connecting with other siblings, and then here you are.
And here I am.
So this has not been shared on a podcast. Your story has not been shared, right?
No. Bits and pieces, but not the whole thing. No.
And I don't even know the story. He's not shared it with me prior to this. So what he's going to share about his story and his life and his journey, which is fairly fresh. Mine is not as fresh as Dave's, but he'll share with us. And this is my first time, again, hearing his story. And it's also the first time of me having a sibling in person on the podcast as well.
Lots of firsts today.
Yeah, I mean, again, 2024.
Yeah.
What'd you say? What was it?
Foot on next season.
Yes, foot on next season.
Foot on next season.
So I'm putting my foot on your neck.
Yeah.
Very gently though.
Zach, get the paper towels, buddy. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's on the side.
Okay.
And I have mine somewhere. They probably fell.
It's all good.
Okay. So it's me and you, sibling.
We right here.
It's me and you.
Right
so
here.
I got two hats on.
Yeah.
Co-sibling, and I'm a grief therapist.
Yes.
So if it get too a little intense, just let me know.
I got you.
All right. Tell me about your sibling. I know it's a brother. I know this is pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Tell us what you would like to share.
My brother was my hero, man. He was a cop. He was, when my parents split, like my earliest memory is my brother waking me up the day my parents split and said, "Mom and Dad are getting a divorce." I was 3. And I remember cleaving to my brother, like, this can't be, this is not happening. And then it happened and my parents split, and my brother was sometimes my reluctant protector, as most big brothers are. And he was just a wise dude. Like, he was always just way ahead of his time, always up on things. And what I tell people is a lot of what you like about me came from him. You know, my personality, my wit, a lot of that stuff I borrowed from my brother and then, made it my own, I remember just leaving when I left radio, right? And I started going out in business. I would do things and I'd hit my brother up and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And I'd be like, "Bitch, I'm in Forbes." Yeah, cool. All right, that's what's up. Well, keep going. Click. I mean, that's just how he was. And I called him one time and I had just done the Breakfast Club, and I was like, "Yo, I just killed the Breakfast Club." He was like, "Again? All right, well, call me when it's CNN." I was like, "Some bitch." But what he was doing was focusing me and forcing me to move forward. Aside from that, I learned how to be a really, and when I say this is no slight against my father or my stepfather. They were both great parents. I can't take that from them. But I learned how to be a father by watching my brother be a father, right? And, my mother was married before she married my dad. Mm-hmm. That man is my brother's father. I didn't even know what a half sibling was. I never heard the term. Mm-hmm. So I got to college and I was like, it's my brother. It's like, y'all got the same father? I'm like, yeah. I mean, well, my dad is his dad, but he's got like another dad, but he ain't shit. And it's like, yeah, well, that means he's your half brother. I was like, what the fuck is a half brother? Like, it was foreign to me. No one had ever spoken it to me. We weren't raised like that. Mm-hmm. We were brothers, and that was what that was. And when I tell you, to watch somebody who was so strong deteriorate, and it was quick too. So like 2021, he needed a heart valve replacement. And I was like, all right, cool. Now, to understand my brother is to understand that we used to call him Robo Cop. Like, he didn't require much sleep, maybe a little, little something. He'd get up. My cousin got shot one time, like in the back. He got shot like 3-4 times, but he got shot. And I'm in Austin, and I get the call from my secretary that my mom's on the phone. She was like, yeah, your cousin Kyle got shot like 5 times. I was like, yo. My cousin was also a big guy, but he lost weight and he put on so much muscle that it stopped the bullets. Like they pierced his skin. Let's not talk crazy here, but they literally lodged in the muscle. Right? And I said, well, did they catch the guy? She was like, oh yeah, your brother called him 5 minutes later. I said, shit. That's just how Aaron got down. He's Robo Cop. So you're telling me a valve is going to do this? No. So he gets out the hospital. He's fine. Fast forward 9 months later, I am in the sauna at my gym, and his partner calls me and she says, we're medevacing Aaron to Jefferson Hospital. I was like, for fucking what? Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, something's going on. Something's not right. I'm like, okay, cool. On my way. So I get up, I shower, I leave the gym. I head straight to the hospital, and what they tell me is that the titanium valve that they put in his heart, it has a 1 in 300,000 chance of developing a fungus that can spread. My brother always played the lottery and never hit until then. And it started shutting down his organs. It started, just, it started taking him. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we're trying to figure out what we can do, and then we got to cut this off, and then we got to do this, and so on and so forth. And they said, well, if his levels can come back up, then there's a chance. And they said, at this point, we're working on trying to figure out what the game plan is. We're moving as fast as we can. And there was a team of doctors, literally like around RoboCop. It's just a bunch of white lab coats trying to figure things out. And so my mother, my aunt, and I, we went across the street, got some food. Before we did, I leaned over my brother's hospital bed, and I held his hand, and it was colder. It was still warm. He was alive, but he was sleeping. And I said to him, I squeezed his hand, and I said, you son of a bitch. I said, you fight. I don't know how to do this without you. And, he squeezed my hand, like definitively, like, and I said, okay, we can go to lunch. And we went to lunch, and, we finally ate something, because the prognosis at that point was like, yo, call his kids, call everybody, like, he ain't gonna make it. And so we're like, like none of us could believe that we're here at this point. And so we go back to the hospital after lunch, and they say, well, his levels went up, like, he's stable, he's not out of the woods, but it's looking really good, like, he's fighting. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, it's like, oh, okay, well, shit, RoboCop. A little close for comfort, but good. So, I went home, I had my mother staying in my apartment downtown. I went home to my actual house, and it's 11:30, maybe 12 o'clock at night, and his partner calls me, and she's like, Dave, get to the hospital. They're saying that he's about to go. So I call my apartment, and I call my concierge, and I say, wake my mother up, right? And they try knocking on the door. She ain't waking up. So I'm like, holy shit. So I'm speeding. I pull up. I tell the valet, hold my car. I go upstairs. I wake my mom up. I like unlock the door, wake my mom up, because I'm like, was this too much stress for my 70-some-odd-year-old mother? Like I'm thinking this back to back, no Drake.
Yeah.
But I wake up. She's like, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I just know we got to get to the hospital now. So my mom throws on some sweats. We get to the hospital, and, they're like, he's not gone yet, but he's about to be. And I'm like, okay. I said, so what can we do? Well, he's on the machines, and they had all the machines hooked up to him. And I remember my brother said to me, ironically, the first time he went in for the actual valve replacement, he said, listen, something happens. I need you to take me out back, shoot me like Old Yeller. And I laughed because that's just how he was.
True Robo Cop. Yeah.
It's Robo Cop.
Yeah.
So he's like, just take it, pow, be done with it. Like, he's like, don't have me hooked up to a bunch of damn machines. No. Kill nobody. No. And I was like, Aaron, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not, but
just in case.
No. And I was like, duly noted. And so at around 2:30 or so, on the 22nd of September, I told him to turn the machines off, which trying not to cry.
It's happening.
Shut up.
It's happening.
Shut it up. I kind of understand how people who have to like flip the switch or deliver lethal injection feel. Like, I know that he was probably trapped in that body. Like, that old gospel song, there's a leak in this old building and my soul has got to move. And I know that's what he wanted me to do. But giving that order sucked. It really sucked. And what happened for me at that point was I went into the room where everybody was waiting, and I saw people I grew up in the hood with. I saw cop friends. I saw drug dealer friends. I saw play cousins. I saw like my entire life, at least the chapters of my life that directly involved my brother sitting in that room. And I said, he's gone. And to this day, I don't know how I didn't collapse. And it was, it was really hard. And then I went back to the hospital room, and how they have like the chaplain come and pray for you. Great, wonderful, not helping. They come in. Just got to bear with me. This is a lot I've never told.
I know. I'm here for you.
The doctor comes in the room and says, okay, we know who's picking up. We know who's picking Aaron up because we've got a family funeral home. They're great. Do you want an autopsy? Now, you know this. I know this. They're going to take your stuff out anyway. Just do I'm like, yeah, just do the autopsy because I want to be sure, right? My mom was like, no, don't let them cut on him no more. Don't let them cut on him no more. And like the part of me, the Dave part that has to know definitively is kicking in. But the little boy watching his mother, who, by the way, mother of Robo Cop is worse than Robo Cop. She's hard. I can count on one hand how many times I've seen my mother cry. 4, maybe. And the business end of me just went away. And I was like, you know what? We don't need the autopsy. He's going, ain't gonna make no difference, right? Like, we ain't out here to sue nobody. But I'm like, damn. I lost a brother. My mother lost a son. And like, I had already started my weight loss journey at this point. I was a year and something into it. But I was like, I'm not going to leave this earth before my mother. I'm not going to make my mother a childless mother. That's a pain you don't understand.
Yeah.
But, you know, having to, like, my brother has 3 children. One is 25, 24, and I'm ready to say 6, maybe 7 at this point. I think she'll be 7 this year. And the little one understands, but doesn't understand. The adults do. But I'm like, I've gone from having effectively 2 kids to now having 5. You know, because my brother was really big on something happens, you take care of the kids. Like, you make sure they're good. You know, at least talk to them. Like, they're my kids. You know how kids are. You know, but I feel so overwhelmed sometimes. And at this point, we are going through the dates of when we can have the funeral. And the only date that was available was the 10th anniversary of my wedding. Yeah. So I got to send my brother off on the anniversary of my wedding day.
Yeah.
When it comes to my wedding, stay with me on this.
I'm here.
When it comes to my wedding, Robo Cop was Robo Cop, and he was on a case. Sometimes my brother was undercover, so he couldn't, you know, just,
yeah.
You know, you want it for however long you want it. You know, but he would break away, and he called me. He said, hey, I was proud of you. I said, well, listen. I said, when we do this in 10 years, you know, like, we'll renew our vows. We'll do something. Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Well, he was there.
Yeah.
You know, and then I speak for a living. I'm great at it. I'm top 5 dead or alive. That's my personal opinion. I don't have, like, you know how these people, I'm the number 1 most requested speaker, like I'm Umar Johnson. Where's that chart? Where's the I'm the number 1, like, where's the most requested speaker chart? How's that? Who houses that? Better Homes and Hoteps I don't know where that is. But I'm arguably one of the most dangerous human beings on the microphone. There have been 2 times in my entire life I've been rendered speechless or found it difficult to speak. The first was when my wife says to me, she said, you're not living up to the promise you made me. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, do me a favor. Name me any 561-pound elderly people you know. I ain't know none. She said, you promised me forever. You can't promise me forever. I mean, like, I don't care about your size. I care about your health. And she was like, you can lose weight. You can't lose ugly. And you ain't ugly. So I just need you to be here.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to Janae. She's good people. I like her a lot. I'll keep her around. She's a good egg. The second time was trying to find a way to encapsulate the 44 years I had the distinct honor and pleasure of being my brother's little brother, and trying to explain to a packed church how amazing he was, you know. And that's the thing, man. Like, they say that the average person gets about 20, maybe 21 minutes of people talking about their lives at their funeral. And so you're working for whatever, like, your whole life is surmised in that 21 minutes. I took 10 because it's my brother, damn
Yes,
it.
right.
And I'm like, you know, I told them how important he was, that what he would want is for people to live his legacy. And my brother was dope. He cared about things, but he cared about things differently. Like, he understood he was black. He understood there were white people. He understood there were all different types of people. For him, my brother's I'm a bottom line guy. My brother's the depths of hell bottom line. He said, ain't but two types of people in the world. There's good people and there's people who are out of order. And I said that to them. I said, and God help you if you are out of order. And my brother could get to you. That's just who he was. And then I talked about like how much he loved Ice Cube. And so I kidnapped Ice Cube no, true story. I kidnapped Ice Cube so that my brother could meet his idol, because I don't think I can put into words how much my brother sacrificed for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me to be in a position to coach you, to build businesses, like my brother did a lot.
Shout out Aaron.
Shout out to Aaron. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So at this point in history, I'm producing Ricky Smiley and Ice Cube's promoting. So I don't know what he was promoting. I don't care. It's been 15 years. Anywho and anyhow. My brother happened to be in Dallas at the time, on vacation with his family. I lived in Dallas. Of course, he wants to come see me. Why not? Work it out, whatever. I get up and I step into my office and I call my brother. I said, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. Get here now. Well, what's going on? I said, I need you to get here. That's just all I can say to you. Get here now. He said, I'll be there in 20. While this is going on, I am saying to Ice Cube, listen, I know you got shit to do. I know you do. But you will miss out on the greatest fan experience you could ever have. My brother has 3 copies of every last album you have. He knows absolutely everything. He knows shit about you. I know you didn't forgot. And Ice Cube's like, yay. So I was like, bet. So I got Ice Cube sequestered in my office. Man. My brother's like, what is it? I said, bro, the only thing I can give you is this. Mm-hmm. And I opened the door and my brother, strongest person I've ever met, one of the smartest people I've ever known, just humorist, life of the party, lights up every room. Like, when I tell you my brother's funeral was standing room only, and it wasn't just because there was a bunch of cops in there, it was packed because that's how great he was. This dude who was strong, always knew what to say, super charming, absolutely everything you could ever imagine you would want to have in a friend, a brother, a confidant. He was that guy. He was the epitome of what cool meant to me. In that moment, faced with Ice Cube, my brother froze. And I mean, not like I don't know what to say, froze. Yeah. I mean, so Ice Cube is like,
I'm froze too right now.
And I'm like, this is my brother Aaron. Aaron, this is rap God. Ice Cube. Ice Cube. And my brother, like, weakly, slowly, puts his hand out. And he shakes his hand. They didn't take a picture or anything. I don't even think he could. And I'm sitting there like, this is the most unbelievable bullshit ever in life. And so I'm telling this to people at his funeral. But here's the gag. And Q was like, well, yeah, man. He's like, well, I appreciate you brought my number one fan here. He's like, well, thank you, man. Thank you for everything. Da, 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 da. And he left very graciously. And the second Ice Cube walked out the door, my brother reanimated. It's like, yeah, and then lethal injection, and then, you know what I'm saying? You took on NWA all by yourself. It's 5 of them. It's one of you.
You had him stuck.
I was like, he's gone, bro. He left. Oh, shit. He's like, man, that was crazy. I can't believe you did that. I'm like, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I said, you froze. He's like, I didn't freeze. I said,
you totally froze.
Negro, you froze. You froze. And it was so funny because if you knew him, you would understand how much he loved Ice Cube, that would probably be the only person on the planet that would make him freeze.
Yeah. So, oh, gosh. Shout out to that memory.
Yeah, no, that's insane. I told it to O'Shea Jackson Jr. He said, my dad looked at you like you were fucking crazy, didn't he? I said, yeah. He said, my dad probably talked about you as soon as he left that radio station. I said, yeah.
It happens.
He said, it happens. He said, he's like, my dad did it to me, but I'll get into that another time. Anyway and anyhow. Yeah. So that funeral, I held it together for most of it, and then now I'm at a point where I won't say I'm good, but I can deal. Like, but for like 6 months, I walked away from my business. I didn't do anything. The team did everything. I didn't do anything. If you saw an interview, it was archive footage. If you saw a post, it was probably somebody on the team. I could not. There were days I couldn't even get, this gonna sound, apologies, sorry. It was days I couldn't get up to wash my ass.
Yeah.
Not just, the fuck am I, he ain't gonna smell me stinking, he dead. You know what I mean? Like, it was insane. I can remember, when the funeral home called me with his urn. And I took the box, because they gave you the urn, and then they put it in a box, and then they put it in like a plastic bag. And so I took it, and I put it in the passenger seat, and I just put the seatbelt over it. We all deal how we
Safety
deal.
first.
I ain't with that thing moving around.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember driving it to my apartment where my mom was. And the whole way we're playing Ice Cube. Like, I had this playlist called Aaron's Immortal Playlist, and I just like put all his favorite songs on it. And I just rode with him, you know, until I got it to my mom's. And then my mom was like, listen, I'm going to go in the bedroom, just put it away where I don't have to see it. I just can't bring myself to see it. And so I did that. But like now, I miss him a lot. I see him everywhere. Not like I'm going crazy, but like, you know, you see certain things, or you go to certain places and you can remember, you know, being with him. And it really sucks. It sucks, because he was much healthier than I was, you know.
Yeah.
And so if you were a betting person, you know, my quarter ton plus 61 ass would have been the one that would have, you know, and deservedly so. Not that I had a death wish, but I mean, you know, black people tend to dig their graves with a knife and fork.
Oh, Dave.
I'm sorry. I thought we were having a conversation about.
No, but you know, I'm same battle though.
Yeah.
But I was always chubby as a kid because I was taller, and I know for myself around COVID, around 2021 is when I started the other journey, because it's been many
It's a
of
lot
them.
of journeys.
Many of them.
A lot of them.
When it comes to health, it's been off and it's been on. It's been off. It's been on. But the effort really started around 2021 to be able to usher in 40 differently than my rest of my years.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that.
Yeah.
1561.
She keeps saying that. Most people aren't. But here's the thing I take comfort in. I was still too small for 600-pound life.
Man, you ain't make it. You got cut.
You got no, Dave. You have to have 1,200 calorie diet and follow the diet. Bitch, if I could do that with your strip mall surgery, I wouldn't be here, doctor. Now. No, you can do it. You just have to have willpower and stop buying junk and having people that. I'm fucking with you. I'm just
I was about to say, as a therapist, I already know that's wrong. Okay. All right. So
watch that show if you got nothing better to do.
Man, So, I mean, it can be entertaining, I guess.
You know it's funny.
You know, sometimes. Dr. Now has absolutely no affect.
No, none. He bedside manner for what? He
doesn't call you out and say you're lying per se, but he just knows that you're lying and you can survive without a meal.
He says, one girl says, she said, I looked at your diet and I don't eat any of this. I'm picky. He was like, apparently not. Bitch. Complete side note, ladies. I just want to talk to women real quick. Women, this is the last thing I'm saying. We're gonna move on with the sibling. We're gonna go right back to being sad. It's okay. Got to break this up. I grieve through humor. Leave me the fuck alone.
Okay, same.
when you watch 600 Pound Life, and you can get it on Max, it got Discovery Plus, a lot of places you can watch. They got clips on YouTube. All of you ladies who said there are no good men out there, I want you to watch this show and realize there's a bunch of slack-jawed North American big back women who have men, 90% of whom are in shape and are doting and caring. So I'm not saying that you're the problem, but if a slack-jawed North American big back woman can get a man to dote on her who's in shape and like, do you know what it takes to travel cross country with a 600-700 pound woman and still love on her?
Car. They've been in the car. Did anybody take an airplane?
No. What plane? What plane gonna fit them? What plane gonna fit them? What plane gonna fit them? I mean, the sheer aerodynamics of that when you think about.
Don't you start.
Zach knows it's true. Zach knows it's true. All I'm saying is that maybe it's you. Maybe you the reason you single. Like, that's just all. Just want to go ahead. But anyway, back to sibling laws. There we go. All right.
You broke it up really well. Thank you, Dave, for sharing your story with me.
Yes.
And for being here.
Thank you.
You know, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me.
Yeah.
And that's good for my ego.
Yes. I like you. I think you're a wonderful person. I'm super proud of you as a client.
Thank you.
I feel like you could still be doing more, but that's just how I'm built.
Foot on my neck.
FootOnNextSeason.com. It's a great thing.
Foot on my neck. You know, okay.
Yes.
And I appreciate you, too, for calling and checking in on me a couple of weeks ago when I had the whole wisdom tooth fiasco.
Listen.
The whole fiasco of having that removed and having stitches and dry socket, all that stuff. All of that. And you called me and I was like, what is Dave doing calling me? I can't even halfway open my mouth.
Why don't we check on people?
Okay, yeah.
Can we normalize checking on people?
I am not.
You self-centered freaks. Like.
Listen. I appreciate that.
No, listen. It's nice to be important. It's important to be nice. Like, kindness don't cost much. Just a little bit of time. I know I have a reputation of being an asshole, and I am. But you know why I'm an asshole? I'm an asshole because you guys don't believe in standards. You guys do not believe in, I don't know, boundaries or accomplishments. You think a 17th place trophy is going to get you where you need to be, and nobody cares in the real world, boo-boo cake. So if that makes me an asshole,
I'm here for it. I'm actually here for it.
So no, like I think you should be nice to people. I think you should be kind to people. I think you should care enough to make sure that your fellow man or woman in this case is doing okay.
That's why Dave's sitting in front of me, y'all.
I just want people to be nice. Like it don't take nothing to check on somebody. So I checked on you.
Half my face wasn't working.
My mouth is so big, my wisdom teeth are still here.
You know.
They've grown in perfectly. Do you know how big of a mouth you have to have? Okay, never mind.
Okay, but mine grew in too perfectly.
Yes, sure.
However, I think, since they're so far back, it was a situation that I wanted to make sure that I took it out voluntary instead of involuntary. Because he said, hey, you might need to start thinking about it. So I was like, okay, let's go in and do it now.
Did insurance cover that?
I'm self-employed.
Did insurance cover that?
No, it did not. She covered that there.
She covered that?
She covered that. And at this point, I want my tooth and my money back.
Yeah, I feel like when they do that, when they start saying, you need to start thinking about it, in your mind, automatically, because they're doctors, you're like, yeah. What you mean by that? I should do this, right? Do you know, of course you know how much that shit costs.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I was awake. But I think I died a couple of times.
At least.
I did.
My grandfather had 6th grade education. And he pulled out our teeth with pliers and vice grips when they were loose. And then you come here, say what you want, no braces.
Okay.
No missing side tooth.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. James Lewis, 6th grade education. Pliers.
Pulled it out.
Just.
Blessings. The blessings of it all. So, again, thank you for being here
Thank you for having
with me here in Nashville. Left home, left your family, left the comfort of home.
Yes, I did.
To come back to second home.
Yes. Love this place.
Nashville loves you as well.
Yeah.
Outside of the heat. I mean, you came in one of the hottest weekends too.
It's okay.
That's all good.
It's all right.
It's all
The sun
good.
is shining.
Yes, it is. It is. So again, I appreciate you. So let me just let people know about the grip spot.
Yes.
The GRiP.
It's not what you're thinking.
The grip spot.
It's not being sponsored by Adam and Eve. I promise you. It means something. Go ahead.
GRiP means grieve in peace. And I changed the name, like I said earlier, to grip the grip spot because we are always so worried about, and we talk about when people are deceased, hey, rest in peace, rest in peace. But what about the people who are left behind? What do they do? Do they have tips? Do they have resources? Do they have a place to go? So that's why I renamed this the grip spot.
It works.
Yes, instead of my very long name I had before. Although I want to make sure that I am servicing and talking to siblings. I want to, but there's much more because I'm a grief therapist. There's much more that needs to be put out there in the world that nobody likes to talk about. How do you financially handle? How do you, raise kids that you did not have before? Now you're worried about them because they're without their father. How do you, navigate life financially? How do you be okay when you have, that's your only sibling, right?
Yeah.
Same.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
That's my only sibling. I don't
One
have
and
any
done.
more. Yeah. Now I have friends that I call bruh, sis, all of that stuff.
Sure.
But, and then for you, you have, the children. You have nephew.
Yeah, I have a nephew and two nieces.
And two nieces. I don't have any of that. So I never would know what it's like to be a natural aunt or auntie or any of that. But I mean, I have other children that call me TT Chris and all that stuff, which is great. But I like what you said about your brother being that one that got you here.
Yeah.
And the same with mine, because I grew up very much quiet, shy, introverted. You don't see me, I don't see you. That's how I grew up.
Wow.
And people would never guess that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
But he was a total opposite from that.
Yeah.
You could hear him down the street from sitting right here. He was just loud all the time, running up and down the steps. He had friends everywhere. We were like the fun house.
Yeah.
So all of my friends were really his friends. So it was boys everywhere. And I first had my first good girlfriend in college.
Wow.
Years later. Because I didn't know how to be a friend to a girl because I'm so used to the boys. So my brother was the loudest. He was rambunctious. He thought about it later. He was one of those. I think about it, process it, think about it some more, process, think about it some more. How am I going to do this? And maybe I'll do it later. He was like, I'm getting done right now.
Right. And you wonder
your
why you're a
smoke.
therapist. Listen, we'll do it now. We'll figure it out on the way down. Let's just jump off the cliff. Me and Zach, we're going to jump off the cliff. Just come on.
Let's go. Yeah.
Flap your wings like Nelly. Just drop down and get your eagle on. It's fine.
Oh, get it sexy.
Oh, God.
Get it sexy. Oh, okay. Okay, my brain.
I just lost a brain cell.
My brain. Okay. Yeah, so that's how my brother was. Kind of like with your brother.
Yeah.
And you having that conversation with him at his hospital bed. I remember talking to my brother. But we missed him leaving us. We missed that whole part because we were at home. And he floated out of here 10 o'clock in the morning at Vanderbilt. He was in ICU, had been in ICU for, I want to say at least 3 weeks, if my memory is serving me correctly. So I had not heard his voice at all from March to April. I had not heard his voice. But they say, talk to him. They can hear you. He can respond to you in some type of way. But he was literally comatose for that entire month. But there's times where he would lift his hand or something like that, or he might grunt or something of that nature. But whenever there's a diagnosis, and I don't know now if there is more research, more medicine, and it's different.
Mm-hmm.
But with his type of leukemia he had, there was a 7-month to a 1-year chance of life. That was it. That was it. And you said September 22nd.
Yeah.
My brother was diagnosed with cancer September 13th in 1996.
Wow.
Same weekend
Wow.
as Tupac.
Wow.
Same weekend. It
Yeah.
was like a lot of stuff going on back then.
It's a lot of stuff.
It was a lot back then. And I just will never forget it. I will never forget it because he was so matter of fact. He was 17 years old when he got diagnosed. And he looked at me. He was like, Crystal, I am going to die. I said, excuse me?
At 18.
Yeah, I wasn't even 18 yet. 17 years old.
Jeez.
17. And he looked at me and he was like, I'm going to die. Because he was slowing down a whole lot. And we were trying to figure out, why is he slowing down? He had a swollen lymph node up under his neck. And we made jokes about it. We didn't know what it was. You probably messing around with some nasty little girls. It's that type stuff,
Man, you said he had neck AIDS. Damn.
We was joking.
He had a next TD.
He taught me how to burn because I wasn't going to fight. He was the fighter. I was going to be slick at the mouth because I knew if I fought, I got in trouble.
Same.
But if I was slick, then nobody could catch that.
Right.
So I'm still like that today. Shout out. So yeah, he started to slow down, and then we took him to the ER one weekend, and he had fluid on his lungs, and then the ER doctor was like, hey, we need y'all to take him to his regular doctor, get a physical, all of that. And I didn't know this until my dad told me this maybe a few months ago. He was like, well, I took him to the doctor, got his physical, and then they said, hey, you got an oncology appointment.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what oncology was. There wasn't no Google back then. Wasn't nothing like that. Nothing. None of that. So they're in the car joking about oncology. Had going back and forth, the banter and everything. Get into the doctor's office, and the doctor says, you have cancer. You have ALL, is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to treat you. We're going to do all of this stuff. And I was not there with them. It's my dad and my brother. I was not there with them. I was actually locked out of the house. I don't know where my key went. And I was at my neighbor's house. And they finally got home, and that's when he had the conversation with me. He was like, Crystal, I'm going to die. And I was like, I didn't want to ask him no more questions after that. I just wanted to find out what ALL was.
Right.
So I marched my behind upstairs to the encyclopedia.
Hey, listen.
The encyclopedia. Yes. To look up what exactly that meant.
Right.
And before he even told me acute or chronic, he just said leukemia. And so I looked it up, and I was like, there's chronic and there's acute. Well, hopefully it's chronic because that's a longer lifespan. And that's not easier to treat, but it's not like acute.
Right.
Acute is very aggressive.
Yes.
And so I asked him, I said, which one do you have, acute or chronic? And he was like, acute. So I don't remember the rest of the day. I don't remember as a kid. I don't remember. He was in remission for a little bit. And then when you have cancer treatment, there's other things that happen. Like you are on steroids, and steroids make you gain weight, and you become diabetic. So that was a whole issue. That put him in a hospital a couple of times having high blood sugar. And then there's radiation that made him sick. And then there's so many things that made him sick during that time.
Right.
And then January, February of 97, it just did not bounce back whatsoever. It just didn't. The treatment was bad. It was just like he had an enlarged spleen at one point, and he was too weak to have it removed. So they were just trying to treat him for the pain. And I remember as a freshman in high school, I was a freshman, I was 14. His birthday was March 18th, and he turned 18 March the 18th, his golden birthday. And after his birthday, just went downhill very fast, and died April the 10th of 1997. And as you say, I wanted to avoid every single conversation about his death as possible.
Right.
Avoid it. Let my parents handle that. My mom was a mess. My dad, he handled as much as he could. But I remember going to school the next day because I didn't want to have the conversation about burying him or going to the funeral home. I didn't want to have that conversation at all.
Right.
At all. So I went ahead and went to school, but then other people knew what happened, knew he had passed. He was a senior in high school at the time. And it was like just seeing people's responses about it all freaking day, just all day. They announced his death on the announcements, and I fell apart.
Yeah.
Just fell apart. And high school was rough. I would never want to go back to that experience ever. Everybody was like, oh, high school was great. It was not good for me.
I hated high school.
It was not good for me.
High school sucks.
Bad.
It really sucks.
I still have nightmares of walking the hallways of my high school.
To me, I hated it for two reasons. One, I went to the worst high school in America, like categorically. My high school was so bad. You know Joe Clark?
Yeah.
The one they made the movie with Morgan Freeman about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, they bought Joe Clark in to consult. He said, I can't do nothing for y'all. That's how bad it was. Martin Luther King High School was the worst high school in America. Like Jesse Jackson came to the school. Like they've done like whole exposés about how bad the school was. Like it was bad. He had people walking in with 2x4s. I think we were one of the first schools that had like metal detectors on every door. Like bad.
Now Dave is from up north, y'all.
I'm from Philly.
So point of reference.
Yeah. So like, and I'm a nerd. Like, but I need y'all to understand a Philly nerd is probably more dangerous than like the gangster outside of Philly. Like, listen, even still, I did not like when I'm dealing with people who don't get it. Like, you ever see the Bad video? Like Michael Jackson's Bad video?
Yeah.
Like the extended version with Wesley Snipes.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, he's like, oh, you think you special? You got them turtle shells. They're tortoise shells. That's what I was doing. I was Michael in this situation. Like, it's just, you know, like you just trying to make a living. You just trying to just, you know, do cool shit, but you're in this really horrible ass school.
Yeah.
And people don't get it. Like I had friends in high school. I'm not gonna say I didn't, but it was trash. I was just, I was happy that, you know, I had a brother that I could call and like, you know, help me get through all the social stuff, you know. But, you know, high school, I feel like high school is hell.
Yeah.
I do. I don't recommend it. Like 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. Put that on my Google search. Like,
would not recommend.
No,
yeah.
That's my review of high school.
Same.
Sucks.
Same. He was with me for the first couple of months at school. We were so excited about that because our last time being in the same school together was that year. And I would never forget. Oh gosh, my brother was like, he was brutal. I could not have any guy friends whatsoever.
No.
None whatsoever.
No.
So this guy came up to me, and this is one of, my many favorite memories of my brother. But you were able to eulogize your brother. I didn't want to have no parts of that. I was too young and wanted to not be there. But I know that I remember a time I got off the bus, and this boy comes up to me. And he was a good friend of mine, and he hugged me. And I was like, yo, what's up? And then he walked off in front of me. And then I was just leisurely with some other people, and then all I could hear was all these people hollering, Crystal! And I'm like, what's going on? I cut the corner. My brother got this boy hemmed up on the wall.
It's damn good brothering right there.
I said, let him go. Let him go. Let him go. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I saw him. I was like, he's just my friend. Let him go. Ow. Yeah, and let him go. Let the boy go.
Gonna be embracing my sister? The hell you think this is?
That's
little touchy-feely head ass. No.
That's
good
what
brothering.
I dealt with.
It's good brothering right there.
And I'm telling
10 out
you.
of 10.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. And I promise you.
Everybody's a threat.
Everybody. And I swear it's still like that today in spirit. Like, you know, certain people like, I don't like, because I'm a little rough too. So thanks again. Shout out to my brother, GP. He's rough. rough.
Not rough.
And I appreciate that, though. I really do. Because the fighter inside of me, I'm very calm.
Mm-hmm.
But the fighter inside of me is really him. It's truly him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't mind the foot on the neck.
Yeah, no.
Because of that.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Ain't it?
Yeah,
We both here, really.
We here.
We both here, really, because of our brothers.
That's it.
Really. Holding it down.
Thank
you. So I like to invite my ancestors, I call it, of course. Whenever I go for presentations or whatever I'm doing the podcast, I like to say, okay, I'm bringing my brother in so his spirit can be here. Because I'm trying to write and all this stuff about our story because I get to a point where it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And you're like, well, who else going to tell the story?
Right.
You're the only one that know.
Right.
You're the only one. Our parents can't do it.
No, it's a different thing.
It's totally different.
Yeah. I have that conversation a lot with people. And I'm like, losing a brother for me is like, there's this Tom Hanks movie where like while he was on the plane, his country got destabilized. So his country don't exist. So he can't step out of the airport because then he'd be traversing, but he can't go back home because his home don't exist no more. So for me, it's like my brother and I spoke a language that nobody else spoke. And now that language is dead.
Yeah.
Because don't nobody know what it is to be raised in a house with Edith. Don't nobody understand. You know, if I say trouble south, go north, trouble east, go west, like nobody understands that. My brother would tell me like if I'm doing something good, he'd be like, yo, the circle's getting bigger. Like there's a language.
There is a language
that we spoke that, you know, there are secrets and things that nobody else would ever like. You can love me as much as you can love a person, but the way your sibling loves you, it's different. It's all encompassing. It deals with everything that you want and it deals with everything you need. And even when I didn't like my brother, I loved my brother. You know what I mean? And like I had these people like, how can you say you didn't like your brother? There were times I didn't like my brother. There's times my brother didn't like me.
Right.
But doesn't mean we didn't love each other.
Yeah. That's y'all's relationship.
That's our relationship.
Yeah.
And regardless, fuck with my brother if you want to. I will kill you and worry about sorting it out later. I have lived a really good life to the point where I'm getting the temporary insanity defense because I've lived such a clean life just so I can kill you. But hypothetically, over my brother.
Yes.
And he's
indeed.
gone, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah, indeed.
Specifically over my brother.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that language. That language is important. And even just a look or just be like, I'm glad you said that about because I got a George and I have a Georgetta. Those are my parents.
Yeah, wait. Your dad's name is George and your mama's name is Georgetta?
Yes.
Are you a foreman?
You know, it would sound like that.
What are the odds?
The odds. One's from Alabama and one is from Tennessee.
Oh, that explains everything.
The odds of it.
One's a Bama, one's a Bama.
Somebody set them up
back
in the day, and then they had us. They are no longer together, even though it sounds like it could be a match made in heaven to have two Georges and Georgettas. And then my brother was George, the other George.
The other George.
He was the third.
It's my brother George. It's my other brother George.
Yeah.
That's a Newhart reference for you children. Never mind.
And then I'm Crystal.
How did you escape? You could have been Georgina.
I could have been all of those things, but my mother wanted me to be different. Thank you. And I stuck out.
Thank you, Mom.
I stuck out. I really did. Because their birthdays are in March, all of them. My mom, my dad, George is 3/16. My brother's was 3/18. My mom is 27.
Wow, my youngest daughter is 3/19. Pisces. Every bit of it. Every bit of it.
And I'm August 5th.
That's not Cancer.
It's a Leo.
Leo.
I'm August 5th. So I stuck out like a sore thumb. And Mom was like, you're different.
You think? Thanks, Mom.
You are different. So, just to say, The language is different. They, the only person who knows the secret sauce.
That's it.
Is my brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So has your brother shown up to you in your dreams?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
Oh, it's happening.
It's not happening.
It's happening.
It's not happening.
Dave, I'm here for you.
I understand. Don't do the therapizing thing.
I'm so here for you.
Yeah, just you just want to break me. But no, I'll dream about him, and then like I won't want to wake up because he's there. And like I remember one dream. It's maybe 2-3 days after the funeral, and I hugged him, and I hugged him so tight. In his latter years, my brother wasn't really big on affection. He was about doing the task, but in his latter years, he became very affectionate.
Perfect.
And so I'd always take an opportunity just to hug my brother, just always hugged him. And so in this dream, I hugged him really hard, and I looked at him, and he looked healthy, and looked strong, and I could feel him, I could smell him, I could see him. He's just, and I say to him, I say, Aaron, I said, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And he says, you're fine. You're all right. You're good. And I'm like, you're fine. You're all right. You're good. That's all you have for me. He was like, no. I said, Aaron, I'm in the midst of my hero story. I'm like, you supposed to be here. We had plans. I was going to retire you. You were going to be my security. Or we were going to go on the road or do all this shit. And I'm like, this is not how it's supposed to be. He said, what the fuck are you talking about? He said, I just spiced this shit up. And he smacks me on the back of my head and says, plot twist, nigga. And I woke up and I was like, and if you understood how Aaron that was, like I called my mother, and I rarely, if ever, curse in front of my mother. And I told her, he said, plot twist, nigga, and smacked the shit out the back of my. She said, oh, that's him. And we laughed and we cried at the same time. And then I had, because I was at this point, I was teaching social media marketing at Temple University, just because I like to do fun shit. Like educate a bunch of Gen Zs who are entitled.
That is not my generation. Thank you.
No, you're a millennial.
Yes, I am Zennial, actually.
Yeah. Okay, Zennial. That's when people don't want to admit they're millennials because they're too close to Gen X. You're a fucking millennial. Own your shit. Anyway. Well, Zennial.
Footonmyneck.com.
Oh, yeah, anyway. So here's the thing. So I'm teaching these kids, and I come back because I stepped away from the business, but I wasn't going to leave these kids hanging during the semester because I'm trying to teach them. I'm going to change the world with these little motherfuckers. And so I get in, and like some of my students had like made had bought me like funeral sympathy cards. And I was really touched. And then one of my favorite students to this day is a kid named Austin. And to see Austin's just the most like the cutest little white boy you ever saw. He looks like a Kennedy. He's got all the spit and moxie. He's very charming. He's like, I mean, this kid can sell water to a whale. He's just that good. He's such a nice kid. He says, listen to me. He said, Professor, I have something for you, but I don't know how you'll feel about it. Now, my interest is piqued. I'm in. Whatever the fuck this is. This is going to be good. Yeah. And I said, well, what is he? He's like, well, you know, my mom's a medium. I said, a medium what? He's like a psychic medium. I said, oh. And I said, yeah. He said, no, like she sees and speaks to dead people. I'm like, on some M. Night Shyamalan shit? He's like, yeah. He was like, you know, if you feel up to it, you know, you might want to have a conversation with Mom. It's on me. And I was like, well, fuck it. Let's go. It might help me stop crying when I get out of here. Because it's like I'm crying all the way to campus.
Yes.
I'm doing the class. I'm good. I'm crying the second I leave the building and I get in my car. I'm crying. I'm crying all the way home. I'm crying in the bathroom. I'm crying while I'm eating a sandwich. I'm fucking crying.
Yeah.
And so I sit down, I do a Zoom with this lady, and she starts telling me all these things. She says, well, when people come to me, like they come to me and so on and so forth. So she says, well, there's one guy and he's older and he's big, and he goes, I said, well, that's my dad. And she said, and then there's somebody who, who has oxygen on her face. And she's like insisting that I tell you about Fudge. I'm like, that's my grandmother. And she said, and there's this one guy, and she's like, he's big, he's really strong, and he's really bold. And he's like, tell him I said teach the kids about respect. And I said, that's Aaron. And I said, is he all right? And she said, wow. She said, I've never heard anybody say this. She says, he wants me to let you know that he's not in any pain, and that the only way he can describe it to you is that he's swimming in jazz. He's surrounded by music, and he's happy, and he's good. And I was just like, cool. I'm glad, you know. But I still miss the fuck out of my brother, and I'm selfish for that shit. And I want my brother here right now. And people are like, well, you know, if I need my brother. That's what I need. I need him.
Yeah.
My nephew looks like my brother. If my brother all of a sudden decided to be Zach's complexion, it's a mixed kid, but he looks like my brother. And then the thing about AJ is AJ had this long, luxurious, big curly hair, right? So I said, let me go and check on my nephew. I'm going to be a responsible Uncle Dad here. And I FaceTime my nephew. And he answers the FaceTime. And he's bald. So I'm looking at Aaron. Like I'm looking at Aaron. And I'm like, AJ says, hey, Uncle Dave. And I'm like, because like, I'm looking at my brother, you know, like 95% my brother.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's wrong? I said, you look so much like him. It hurts. And I'm like, why did you shave your hair? Well, it's hot, Uncle Dave. I just shaved it because it was hot. And I'm like, okay. And again, hung up the phone. I cried. And the good news is I'm not crying as much these days, but every once in a while.
Every now and then, that big emotional day.
It'd be a day where emotions are happening.
Yes.
And they're big emotions.
Yes. Yes. So you are my first over here at the Grip Spot to tell me about your emotions as a surviving sibling in the most authentic way. I appreciate your authenticity. Can I get the word out?
Authenticity.
Thank you, because you know I'm a wisdom tooth. You know,
I understand.
I'm grieving the loss of it.
Listen, just make sure the socket ain't dry. That's just
we good now. Like she closed up and everything.
Oh, that's good. Put some Vaseline up in there. Just
no,
it's not.
I think we okay. So thank you for your truth and for sharing and expressing and all of these things that you normally don't do on a podcast.
I don't do this.
Or talk in front of people in this way.
Feelings.
And giving.
I don't do feelings.
Yeah. I mean, I think you do, just not.
I don't do feelings professionally.
Right.
So I do feelings. Listen, I'm super dad. I love feelings. I love the love. I love feelings. I just, it's not good for business.
Because you're the business bully.
But that. Okay.
It means something though.
This is black unapologetically living and loving yourself.
Yes.
This is a glass. It is a glass with water in it. That's not my truth. It's an actual fact. This is a glass with water in it. Is there anybody who's going to dispute that this is a glass with water in it? Nobody gives a fuck how you feel about the glass. It's still a glass with water in it. if we can't look at our businesses this objectively and realize that sometimes your business sucks and needs some help, or that your marketing sucks, you're really good at your business, but you suck at marketing it to people. If you can't be real about that, because I feel like I shouldn't have to get on social media and talk to people. I feel like the customer should just come to me because I've built it. Well, okay, Kevin Costner, this ain't the field of dreams. Facts are things. And when you start coming with, and well, I feel, the game's already lost.
Already.
But I do feelings.
So I appreciate you again for being the business bully and for yelling at the people in 2020 enough for me to get on and get captured by the passion. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because I wasn't even thinking about being a businesswoman. I was just trying to podcast.
Mr. Anderson is pulling people out of the matrix.
Yes.
Have you been captured by the passion yet?
Yes.
If you haven't.
It's some good passion.
It really is. I need you to go to thebusinessbully.com/without paid ads, but not before you subscribe. I need you to download this podcast. I need you to share this podcast. I need you to get therapized.
Please.
I need you to get some therapization.
Yes.
Okay. See, we passed therapy at this point. I need you to get therapized, right? I need you to be so involved and engulfed in the process of your healing that you take your healing as seriously as you take, I don't know what you take seriously, but I'm sure you take something seriously. And if you do, like, get therapized. Yes. Crystal's going to therapize you.
I'm here.
Listen.
Yes.
I like it. It's good. We laughed. We talked. We shared. My eyes missed it.
Cried a little bit.
My eyes, see, you're trying to get me out of character. I'm in my whisper song season. Wait a second. My eyes missed it a little bit. And I want y'all to understand that it's okay to cry.
It is.
Healing it's a process. You will never, like, people like, you look so great. And I'm like, yeah, but my brother's not here.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing for everything. Real quick, can I just shout somebody out?
Go ahead.
I want to shout out Kev on Stage. If you're not familiar with Kev on Stage,
yes.
Kev on Stage lost his brother. I did not know he lost his brother.
Yeah, Jason.
But
Frederick.
when he lost his brother, his skits were exactly how I felt. You know, because like your inner voice will come in and you're like,
thoughts.
yo, hey, we're having Mission Barbecue. Yeah, you remember that time you and your dead brother had Mission Barbecue? It's like,
yes.
Everything is now filtered through the lens of the weight of the loss of my sibling.
Yeah.
And I want y'all to know that that's okay. Because it makes you, I'm going to tell you the one thing my brother's death did for me. It made me realize that none of us are immortal. Do you know the one thing that black people, white people, red people, yellow people, all people have in common? 100% of every human being who has lived, ever lived, who will ever lived, are all going to die. You're all going to die. You can't get out of life alive. With that, you are now in a line. And I want you to understand this. Sorry, I'm not trying to, I'm just wrapping up. You're in a line and you can't change your place in that line. You can't move back. You can't move up. When it is your turn and you get called, that's it. What the fuck are you doing with the time you have? Because rest assured, it is limited. My father said, had a dream. I was 9 years old. And I told my father, I said, Daddy, I come running and I'm bursting in tears and I'm hanging on to my father. And I said, he's like, David, what's wrong? Are you hurt? I'm like, no. He said, well, why are you crying like this? I've never seen you cry like this. And I said, I had a dream that you died. He said, well, I am dying. And I just,
yeah.
I'm like, you're going to die? He was like, yeah. He was like, the second the doctor slapped my ass in 1935, the clock started. You're going to die too. I'm like, ah. Yeah. He said, but wait. He was like, dry your tears. Calm down. He said, listen, I have a way to cheat death. Do you want to see it? And I said, yeah. He said, I'm going to take you to it. And he's like, okay, go fast. I said, okay. So he grabs me, right? He grabs 9-year-old little Dave and he takes me and we go into the bathroom. I'm like, it's the bathroom? He said, no. And he lifts me up. Now, my father was 6'4", 280 pounds, this huge guy. His hands were so big, he palmed a basketball, a full regulation basketball at the age of 8. So grabbing my little ass, he took my little chunky ass and he lifted me up in front of the mirror. And he said, that's how I cheat death. And I'm too smart for more good. I'm like, the mirror? He said, no, you're how I cheat death. He was like, when I die, I'll live through you. And I go out of my way to make sure that my aunts, my uncles, my brother, my father, my stepfather, my grandparents have something to live through. And that's all I got.
I love it. Thank you so much for that.
And I'm still not crying.
You're missed it. But thank you so much as we are wrapping up. This is the Grip Spot. Yes, where we are grieving in peace right here at this spot. And this is sponsored by Tittle Pinnock Grief Counseling and Consulting, LLC, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. And if you would like to have a 30-minute free consultation with me, whether you're staff, organization, or church, you would like to have a consultation to talk about plans to grieve and how to manage someone on your job or your employer, how to manage, or if you need grief therapy or support, please reach out to me at tpgcc.com. That is T as in talk, pgcc.com. Again, Tittle Pinnock Grief Counseling and Consulting, free 30-minute consultations with Little Sister Chris and your grief therapist. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you, Dave, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, my co-sibling. Yay. I love you, although you be yelling at people. Passionate about people.
I'm very passionate.
Bye, y'all. We will see you next time.